right, everybody. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Blazer Victory Podcast. John Duncan here, and of course, I'm joined as always with my co-hosts Darian Smith and Jimmy Marion. And it's the final football game week of the 2023 season as UAB will travel down to Denton, Texas to take on the North Texas Mean Green. Kickoff is slated for 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time. The game will be streamed on ESPN Plus. And guys, it's kind of hard to believe that this is finally, this 2023 season is coming to an end. I know it's been a roller coaster of a season for this staff and this team. But we kind of talked about it a little bit on our Temple recap that this is still a really good opportunity for UAB to, kind of take momentum into the 2024 season. Jimmy, wouldn't you say so? Like, hey, this is still, hey, bowl game's not going to happen, but it's still a good opportunity for UAB.
Yeah, man. The thing that I'm considering is I think this win, getting 3 out of the last 4 wins to end the season, getting that first road victory, if we were able to do that, the word I've been thinking about is swagger. Like, I think that's going to give the coaching staff some swagger going into the signing day, feeling confident about the way that they ended the season, giving the players some confidence. Trent's talked a lot about seeing the results happen, whether it be in the most recent win because, they're doing so many things well in practice, right? But actually seeing the results on the field on Saturdays and getting some wins and just increasing that confidence for the players, for the staff, for the recruits that are considering coming to UAB. For the fans, for everybody, it'd be pretty big. And you're able to get that AAC record to 500 overall. That'd be 4-4. So, and then, not to even mention the fact that this is a lot of the seniors. I know we just had senior day at home, right? But this is a lot of the guys like Skoll who are going to have one more opportunity to ball out in a UAB uniform. And so hopefully this week we'll be able to end because there certainly is, to answer your question, John, plenty to play for.
Yeah, I think you want to prove to yourself, especially all the players that's coming back, that you can win on the road, that you're capable, something we haven't been able to do all year. And to do it to a team, this is a good team. This team is like the Spider-Man meme, like looking at each other, pointing at each other. It's very identical teams. Like they have talent, they're young. I believe it's going to be a good test. If we can end on this note, it'll be 5-7. It'll be 1 win away from that great team that we had last year that underachieved. So it's through all the ups and downs and complaints, we have an opportunity to have a lot to look forward to going forward. Especially with all the recruits that we have coming in and the red shirts. We have a lot. We just have a lot brewing. I think this game is important. I really do for our prospects for next year. So hopefully the guys do too. I know they do. I know they want to win. School has said that. And I hope we can go in and prove something to ourselves, especially the staff.
Yeah, well said, Darian. And I mean, yeah, for folks that haven't realized, I mean, UAB, like Darian just said, UAB has not won on the road at all this year. So, Trent Dilfer in his press conference this morning talked about how they're, again, changing up stuff, flight schedule, and what they're doing this week in preparation for heading to Denton Saturday. So this is an important week for this team and staff to, try to get the dub and end on a high note. And, hey, if you get 5 wins, that's more than what Vegas expected. You hit the over at 5 wins. So definitely a lot to play for in this ball game on Saturday.
John, there was a lot of people that felt really confident about the under on that 4.5. Sent y'all some YouTube clips in the offseason. I said, look at these guys. Nothing would make me happier than to be taking a look back at those receipts that were saved of everybody that didn't just say, hey, it's a good bet, but it was a guaranteed bet, the under 4.5, easy play. I want those people to eat their words this Saturday.
Hey, those same people are sweating. heading into this Saturday. And Jimmy, hey, we keep those receipts, don't we?
That's right.
We keep them. Darren, you were gonna
So
say?
if we do win this game, the next pod. I just need to play all of them. Like
Yes.
we need to just cut up and we need them played, because people forget outside of our fan base how this down we was looked upon, especially on the national media. They just talked about us like, what's going on? This is a train. This is like, it was bad, like train wreck, whatever, dumpster fire, whatever you could say negative about UAB, they piled home. So it's funny because it's like, oh, you guys still under 500, but no, y'all don't understand. They expected us to win one, maybe two games. They talked about us so bad. So I need everything just played. Anything we can find, I need it played, and I just need, just let it play out. That's all.
100%. Well, guys, before we get started to preview this game, we do. I had the opportunity to come on a Sonoy Valente's North Texas college football show called the Mean Green Show on YouTube. That should be coming out any day. So definitely check his stuff out if you have not already. Darian went on there he's been on there. I've been on there a couple times in the past year. So Sonoy does a great job with that program. So check them out. Check out Mean Green Nation. I mean, they're North Texas is blessed with, they have a lot of podcast and media outlets that cover that team. So definitely a lot to look for this week if you're a UAB fan wanting a viewpoint from the other side. But guys, let's get into this game. Again, Saturday at 1:00 p.m. Central Time is kickoff. UAB, this is the 8th overall meeting between these two programs. And UAB owns the series 6-1. The lone loss was the first year in the return 2017. And I don't know if folks remember that game in Denton, but UAB almost pulled up the upset at the end of that game, coming back from, I think it was like 20 points down, something like that. Like it was crazy at the end. But yeah, UAB has dominated this series 6-1. As Darian mentioned earlier, very kind of identical teams. North Texas has a first-time head coach with Eric Morris, obviously UAB Trent Dilfer. Offense, a lot of great young talent, but inexperienced talent that lends to making mistakes oftentimes. But a really good quarterback. And I guess let's start with the offense and look at that quarterback with Rodgers. I mean, guys, I feel like every week we say, man, this is the best quarterback UAB's faced. This is the best quarterback UAB's faced. You pop on the film of Rodgers, I mean, this is a true dual threat quarterback. It does say that, yeah. But it is. I mean, there's so many different, so many talented offenses in the American Athletic Conference, but Rodgers is a damn good quarterback. And when you put on the film, and he doesn't make as many mistakes as to, an EJ Warner often does, that UAB faced last week in Temple, and UAB was able to force him into some mistakes. But Darren, kind of when you put on the North Texas film, what stands out to you with Rodgers and his gameplay, or if you want to just talk overall about the North Texas offense?
Well, I think what stands out for Rodgers is he has good pieces around him. I think he has good running backs. I think he has good receivers. I do think their offensive line is questionable, but one can say the same about us. This is why I say it's like the Spider-Man meme. We point at each other because it's kind of the same recipe. You got good receivers, you got good backs, and even with Jacobs down, Lee Beebe looks really good. Of course we got Skull and we got Lee Witherspoon, we got Demetrius Battle. So we have a lot of running backs, and they're good. They're good there too. I do think you can get after them rushing the passer, but they have a good quarterback that's really similar to our quarterback. He can throw it. He can run it. He's not like it's a different type of run. It's not the Byron Brown type of that's what I want to do. I want to spread out and use my speed. He's not that. I'm athletic enough, to make something happen if it break down. If you don't contain me, I can get loose on you. So it's not it's a different type of run than Brown from USF. But he can make the throws, especially if you give him time. You can force him into those mistakes. If you can get after that O line, I think that's the point that you have to get to. But they're balanced offense. It's not all about Rodgers. I think the thing about with Warner was it was all about him. He was the offense. Like, they didn't have a run game, the offensive line, and then it ain't like they had an offensive line that was just so good in pass protect. We was able to get after them, So if you have one good quarterback, but he's not surrounded by what he needs to succeed, then you can attack that. Well, North Texas has better equipped Rodgers, especially with the weapons, and they are way more balanced, so they can play action, right? Like, they just had 2 rushers over 100 yards last game against Tulsa. They can run the ball. They don't have to lean on Rodgers. So it's going to be interesting to see, because we're built the exact same way on offense, and we're balanced. We can win in multiple ways. They can too. So this is going to be an interesting matchup, and it's a true test for our defense, because which way are they going to attack us? Because we're not good in the run game versus the run. So I don't know, man. They got the weapons to attack us from all sorts of areas, and this is going to be a real test to see if this team has really improved like we think they have. They showed that they improved against Navy. That they showed that they improved against Temple, their best defensive outing over the year. We saw some personnel changes. Is it real? Well, this is a good test to see.
Yeah, Rodgers has been impressive. So for those of you that don't know, he actually transferred in from Louisiana Monroe, and he did not start out the year as North Texas' starter. He took over the starting role, and North Texas has been pretty good since he took over. So their record is 4-5, but they were competitive in 4 out of those 5 losses. They lost to Navy by 3, Tulane by a touchdown, Memphis by 3, UTSA by 8, and their one big loss was to SMU. I believe that was actually in Denton by 24. SMU's dang good this year. You compare that to UAB, somewhat along the same stretch. We've played UTSA. We lost by 21. Memphis, we lost by 24. We know we didn't have Zeno, and we lost to Navy on the road by 25. So there's been, a little bit more of that point differential in some of those matchups. So I've been impressed with Rodgers. One difference, so you guys are definitely right about the similarities offensively and the firepower, but one difference to me is definitely Rodgers attacking opponents deep. When you look at some of those statistics, I mean, he's definitely throwing the deep ball, and he's got 7, I think I was looking at this morning, 7 receivers that have had at least 20 receptions that are averaging over 10 yards per catch. So they're burning people deep. And Darian mentioned that play action. It's actually really impressive that they've got 2 running backs that aren't getting a ton of carries, but they're averaging. One of them's averaging over 7 yards a carry. The other's averaging close to 6 yards a carry too, but they're not getting a ton of action. So those are split carries, and they're obviously more focused on passing the ball. When you look at them, run versus pass, under 50%, so right at 47% of their plays are rushes, but they're actually averaging over 5 yards a carry, and that's 12th in all of FBS. So pretty impressive. And then one other statistic about them offensively that I found interesting is that their red zone scoring percentage is essentially 90%, which is really good. And you compare that to UAB offensively is at 74% red zone scoring percentage this year, which is ranked 120th in FBS. So both of these teams are going to rack up yards. But one thing that North Texas has done this season thus far is they've been taking advantage of those red zone opportunities more so than UAB has thus far.
I just want to mention one thing real quick. It's 2 things you just talked about, the red zone offense. And it's funny, but because I feel like we found something that last game. It got all the way to this point, but how we were able to run the ball with BB and Demetrius Battle, you can tell the difference there in the red zone. I think that really helps out in the red zone. And then you was talking about throwing the ball deep. Well, we saw Zeno, and we saw him take a couple of shots last game. Of course, we had that big play to Milliner I believe we did have the pass interference onto John Palmer at one time, and we took a couple more shots deep. So I think I really like the play calling last game a lot better. I think we mixed it up more, and it's I want to see if those things carry over and see if we can even out those statistical disadvantages right there.
Yeah, well said, guys. But yeah, those backs that you are talking about, Attaway and Adeyi, both very explosive backs. You know, they don't get a whole lot of carries, but I mean, UAB just can't sit back and try to defend that pass, because if we back the safeties off and guys give cushion, I mean, they're just going to run the ball straight up, you know, with both of those backs. And that's kind of what I saw a little bit in the Tulsa game, and why both of them had over 100 yards rushing in the Tulsa game. And that was why a good reason why North Texas was able to escape with a W in Oklahoma, in Tulsa. But yeah, Jimmy mentioned it too. Like, UAB is going to give up yards in this ball game. I mean, you know, I don't care how much the defense has improved. This is still an explosive North Texas offense, you know, that we're going to see Saturday. But can you bend but not break in the red zone? Can you force them to have a couple of field goal attempts? I mean, that's going to be a win in this ball game for UAB. And conversely, can UAB score touchdowns? Or can you just score in the red zone? You know, like Jimmy mentioned, you know, that statistically speaking, when UAB enters the red zone, I mean, it's not always a guarantee. You know, a lot of that is too, you know, being aggressive, going for it a lot, you know, on fourth down in the red zone, and missing some field goals. But hey, shout out to Matt Quinn, Special Teams Player of the Week, American Athletic Conference. So shout out. He had a really good game. He seems comfortable. I really think that FAU game winning field goal kind of boosted his confidence. And we've talked about this before. That's what kickers need. You know, you need that. You need to just hit one, and all of a sudden it's, you know, good from there. But yeah, that's we're going to need to watch in this game. Can UAB hold North Texas to some field goal attempts that they're going to score touchdowns? I mean, I do think this is going to be a high scoring game, but can you bend but not break? Can you force a couple field goal attempts? And then conversely, can UAB put it in the red zone or put it in the end zone this Saturday?
Yeah, I want to add to that, John, is that not only just forcing them into field goal opportunities, but forcing a couple of turnovers. That's going to be absolutely key. Again, turn the opponent over. That's good for your team. But when you look at the trends here, UNT, North Texas, has not thrown an INT in their 4 wins. So they have 12 touchdowns and 0 picks. In their losses, however, they've thrown 8 interceptions. They still have a lot of touchdowns, 18 touchdowns, but they've thrown 8 INTs. And something else I found interesting is that UAB defensively, we've talked about it throughout the year, has forced 24 fumbles. They've recovered 11 of those. North Texas, on the other hand, has only forced 8 fumbles, on the year. So something I'm going to be curious to watch is UAB able to force, and believe me, this quarterback has not thrown a ton of picks, but when he has, they've lost. So it's one of those things where can UAB defensively force UNT into a couple of turnovers? And something I'm going to be curious of, John, you asked a good question about Ricky Lee in the press conference, is, how is he going to be able to continue his progression at the safety position? We're talking about, limiting the explosives by North Texas. We had last week against Temple where Trent talked about it, outside of, call it 4 plays, several of which were explosives. The UAB defense played well. Well, what we know is going to happen in this game is that there's going to be explosive opportunities by North Texas. And to John's point, they're going to get it. But can you limit them enough to allow for your offense to have a good game as well and hopefully come out with a win?
So I think the key, I agree, I think turnovers is important. But how do you get to those turnovers? I think it's on first downs. So what I think what we come back to is those tackle for losses, or, getting them on 2nd and 9. So first and second downs, can we get them into 3rd and long, basically? Can we get them into a position to where they're predictable? And I think now we can sit the safeties back. Now we can have a linebacker spy to make sure Rogers doesn't scramble, and we can sit back and we can let the I think our defensive line can get after their offensive line. They still have to go out there and do it. I've said that before. Sometimes they've gotten it done. Sometimes they didn't. They got it done against Temple. But against this team I think if they're able to stay on schedule and keep us off balance with that run pass option, it's hard to key in what they want to do. They do both well. So you need to take something away. I would say it's kind of what Navy did to us. Navy they tackled for losses and they made us predictable. I still don't think Navy is a good pass rushing team. But they was able to rush the pass against us because we was in 3rd and 15 so much. It was like, hey, let me go do this rip dip under move. I know they're not running the ball here. And bam, we were predictable. Make him hold the ball a little longer. Maybe we can get a strip sack fumble. Maybe we can force something. I love Ricky Lee back at safety. Ricky Lee, you could see the speed pop out on him. It's a difference with him at safety. And I think he covers a lot more ground because he's just a different athlete back there. So hopefully that game worked wonders for him. And I'm pretty sure they're going to get tested this game. Our defensive backfield is going to get tested. What do we do on first down to help them out? I think we can get some coverage sacks. We saw that against Temple. We got some coverage sacks too. So can we help them? If we're not winning those for early downs and we're getting into a lot of 3rd and 2s and stuff like that, it scares me.
And then, guys, let's flip it over to the North Texas defense. And, statistically speaking, North Texas is one of the poorest rush defenses in the conference. And Jimmy and I were talking, and Darian and I were talking earlier before we recorded, like, if they wanted to, this staff really could implement the Navy game plan with this Saturday in North Texas. But, you got to mix it up on first down, though. You can't be too predictable, and just halfback draw every first down. You've got to mix it up. But UAB can run the ball on this North Texas team. And running the ball allows UAB's defense to get more rest. It keeps Rogers and Macklin and Attaway and Ade and those explosive offensive players for North Texas to stay on the bench. Like, I really can see them doing a similar game plan that they had for Navy, just ball control and try to, just overpower you, just show you, hey, we're going to run the ball. And I think last year, and I know this is a different staff, but UAB ran the ball pretty well last year against North Texas too. So if the offensive line, if they can prove that they can push back this not very good defensive line, then I think UAB can have a chance to come out with a W this Saturday in Denton.
Yeah, and I was having an epiphany. Like, I went to we had a Super Bowl game, right, for our freshman kids, 7 and under. And so this same team, they blew us out before, but we switched up our play style. And instead of trying to run on the outside like they do all the time, and they had better athletes, we was like, we're going to be just tougher than you are. And we were just hitting them 7 yards. Like, this is something you don't see in such a young peewee football. But it was working. Like, we were tougher, and we were just exploding off the ball, and we were knocking them out. I said, man, we can win this game. Now, we end up losing by 6, but it was a close game. And I'm like, man, I just learned something. Because we kind of did the same thing against Temple. We switched up how we ran the ball. When you think of UAB football, it's all the little speed sweeps, something to the outside. Let's outmaneuver somebody. But that game, we were running it up the middle, like tough yards. I'm like, I like this. It was simple blocking. The schemes weren't too much. It wasn't too many blown assignments. It was just like, hey, can you go win this block? All right, if you can, hey, BB, can you put your head down? Skull, can you put your head down? Let's get through this. And after a while, now you hit them with some of the cutesy runs, and then we saw Skull dead leg. And one thing I did see about North Texas, they're not the best tackling team. You can say the same thing about UAB. But I saw that on film with Tulsa. Tulsa was able to break a couple of tackles and get away from guys. And I really hope that we take that same tough mentality. I truly, truly believe this game is going to be on the offensive and defensive lines. If you can come in, if you're tough, and you can knock them off the ball. You get 5 yards a pop, but the disheartening type of 5 yards. One game when I played, we played UTEP. And I promise you, we ran the ball like 13. It was a drive. We ran the ball like 13. It was a 13-play drive. And we were just running it down the throat. And it was simple coming at you. And they tried to run blitz. They tried everything. And we was like, oh, we knew as an offensive line, we was like, this game over with. It was like in the third quarter. We was like, this game over with. They can't stop us, and they know they can't stop us. So now they are forced to pull extra resources down. And then we was just hitting them with the pass because it was so easy it was so many lanes open with the pass. If you can win like that, you take a team's heart away. They're not good against the rush. You can say the same thing about us. But they're not good against the rush. I think we have the toughness to knock them back. Will we do it? That's another thing. Again, we're on the road. Nothing is a guarantee. We haven't been good on the road when it comes to stuff like we say we need to do this, and we don't do those things on the road. We haven't all year. I'm saying there's an opportunity. There's another opportunity here. That's why it's so important to win this game. Oh, it's just the fifth. Y'all will be 5-7. It's the last game. No, it's important to us. It's important to our staff and our culture, what we want to do. So if we can win like that, I would be so happy. I don't care about I can almost forgive the Louisiana game if we can win that stuff. We can win a tough, knock them back, then play action, just to take your will away game. Like, there's nothing you can do to stop us. I would be totally, totally happy with that.
Y'all, the North Texas rushing defense statistics in their 7 losses are jarring. So in those 7 losses, opponents have rushed for over 2,000 yards, for 5.86 yards a carry, scored 28 touchdowns, and opponents are averaging just over 49 rush attempts for 290 yards rushing on average in those games. I mean, you look at the box scores, whether it's Navy, SMU, like all these guys are rushing for like.
You got to hit them with the damn.
I mean,
that's really nasty.
UAB has struggled to stop the run, and we can't talk much. Like we're not sitting here bragging. We're just calling it out, right? We're just saying, hey, this is what's happened in their 7 losses. Even in their 4 wins, I mean, opponents are still averaging over 200 yards a game rushing against them. So. I agree with you, John. That's one of the notes I wrote down as well, is that some of our listeners might want to throw up if they hear anything about a Navy game script. But if there were to be a game in which you want to go out there and out-physical the opponent, and you were to want to at the same time try to limit the other team from coming out, and having their explosive offense be on the field, this would be that opportunity, right? So hopefully that will be a part of the game script. And I'm so happy, John, that you had mentioned about mixing things up a little bit on first down, not being so predictable. And this will be an opportunity, right, to show that the staff grew from the Navy game, right? We're not saying don't ever have a game script in terms of going out there and trying to out-physical the opponent, but there's some opportunities to do things a little bit differently, and hopefully we see that. And last note on that whole situation is BB in the Navy game was really getting it going, and we saw him. Darian mentioned some of his good play in the red zone against Temple. I want Skoll to get as many possible carries as possible in this game. I also want to see, like, if BB is a little bit more successful on first downs, I want to see BB in there as well and getting some good opportunities. I think a combination of BB and Skoll can be extremely successful against this North Texas defense.
All right, well said, Jimmy. I think it's time to get into official score predictions. And Darian, I will throw it to you first.
Oh, man. It's a tough one, but we're on the road. Haven't won on the road. I want y'all to, players, listen to me. I want y'all to make me eat my words here. I think this is one of the few times I ever go against the grain, but I got North Texas 35. UAB 31.
Wow, I've got similar. Unfortunately, I've got North Texas winning this one as well, 38-31. Jimmy, save us.
Y'all picked the wrong savior, man. Y'all been listening to my picks all year. Y'all know it ain't me. Yeah, I'm just thinking about this. I'm looking at the game on paper, right? We are all three rooting for a big win to end the season in Denton, Texas for the UAB Blazers this week. But I talked about those statistics earlier about North Texas, how they performed with Rogers and how close those games have been. I know that they are not good against the run at all. But for all the reasons that you guys have already said about our road performances and hopefully the team's not too high after, a senior day win, coming into Denton. But at the end of the day, I actually do have North Texas winning 45-31.
Man.
He didn't save us. He piled on.
Yeah, he piled on it, didn't? Because you were then 38-31 and then 45-31. So I guess UAB scoring 31 points.
31,
Saturday.
yes.
Hopefully North Texas will score 28.
Please, UAB. I hope the staff are hearing this. Drop 50. Drop
do
50, it, man. Yeah.
Like, and we just spoke like UAB can win, and
if we run the ball, we can limit their explosive ability.
Mm-hmm.
Put the Navy game script. Like let's put it on. The first play I will run is that play action pass that we ran to get Terrell McDonald just to keep him off balance.
Yes.
That's the first play I run. All right, now y'all know to expect that. Now I'm finna run the ball on y'all all game. Please, let's just Navy them. I think we can. Please.
Definitely. And guys, our listeners, this is Thanksgiving week, so we are putting this preview episode out really early. Normally we do Wednesdays or Thursdays sometimes, but we're dropping this Monday afternoon. I know a lot of y'all are traveling for the holidays. We wish you well and have safe travels. And hey, we're so thankful for y'all, every single listener that we have, every single Patreon subscriber that we have. You guys and girls are what makes the Blazer Victory podcast and Blazer Victory brand successful. We wouldn't have been able to get a sponsor this year. We wouldn't have even been able to do a Patreon if it weren't for our wonderful listeners. So we are extremely thankful for all of you that listen to the pod. Darian, Jimmy, I'm extremely thankful, not to get sappy or anything, but I am extremely thankful for both of you fellas for not only the work that we do on Blazer Victory, but the friendships, that we've strengthened and developed over the past year or two. So I'm thankful for y'all. But I do have one question before we close out. Darian, what's your favorite Thanksgiving side?
The side?
Side, yeah.
Oh, can I combine two? Because I eat them
you
together.
Get to. You get to, yeah. If you mix them in, yeah.
Yeah, because I love the mixing the macaroni and the yams, bro. Like you gotta have them touching. You gotta do it. You gotta do it together.
Hey,
it's so good. I promise.
Hey, you gotta do yams right though. I've had some bad yams before. You gotta make them right.
That is true. Elizabeth, he's not talking about you. Know that.
Oh no. She don't make yams, but yeah, she makes some darn good mac and cheese. So,
yeah.
But Jimmy, what's a favorite Thanksgiving side?
Hey, I was just telling Big Jim yesterday. I miss when he used to make dressing. So if you're listening to the pod, Big Jim, you got to get that recipe back out. I know you said you're too old to make it, but just do it, man. Bring it out on Thursday.
With the cranberry, you like cranberry sauce with yours?
Man, yes, I'll take it. It doesn't matter, man.
Canned cranberry sauce. I want the fake crap. I don't want no homemade, like what Trent was going on. He said he likes both, but I was saying at the presser, I want that fake jelly, shake it kind of cranberry sauce.
If you leave it out too long, it's melting.
And to get some brownie points, just anything that Natalie makes, and anything that she's gonna make is gonna be just.
Jimmy, don't use this for brownie. Mute yourself. You trying to get brownie.
I'm just surprised he didn't say a protein shake, Darren, because Mr. Jimmy is Mr. Fitness right there.
Yeah. He gonna run like 7 miles after he gets done.
Hey, Thanksgiving you gotta run before and you gotta run after. That's the champion. If you can run with a full Thanksgiving stomach, that's what's up.
The only thing I don't think I'm gonna do is run some more alcohol down my mouth.
Drink some of that Cahaba beer, right?
Exactly. Nice plug right there. John, what's your favorite side?
I was gonna say, well, dressing and mac and cheese. Yeah, I mean, to me, dressing's really not a side though, because that's like my main thing. Like, I don't really care about the ham or turkey. Like, I want a big old plate of dressing, with some fake cranberry sauce and a big pile of mac and cheese. Yeah, all that. And it'll be a good day. So,
Heck
Exactly.
yeah.
oh man. Well, Jimmy, go ahead and send us out.
Hey, Blazer Nation, you'll have an awesome holiday week. Let's win both some football and some basketball games this week. Blazer Nation, just blaze.